And welcome back to the 2019 School Scrabble Championships. I got Jackson Smylie, I've got Josh Sokol, my name's Kevin Belinkoff, and we are here for our final match. It's in the high school division, and it will crown the winner of our high school championship between Jem Birch and Leo McKenna. Two friends, they've played one another frequently. They're both from Los Angeles, made the trip out here to Philadelphia, and one of them will go home as a champion. We'll find out who it's going to be in just a moment. But in terms of what got us here, what have you guys seen from these two players that really stands out?
Well, Jem Birch is renowned for his word knowledge, and we've seen that come out many times, especially in the game against Chloe Fatzis, where he found the beautiful Kalisaya, C-A-L-I-S-A-Y-A. That just shows how far into the dictionary this guy has studied. And we've seen him play in a lot of NASPA-sanctioned tournaments before, and he's done very well. And what about Leo McKenna?
Let's see.
Now
Leo
they did draw.
first.
They drew off camera, and Leo drew the closer letter to A.
It looks like he popped a tile up, and Jem wanted to start the time immediately, as he's already seen a tile.
Yeah, the clock starts the second that you
All right, here
put
we
your
go.
first tile in the rack, and
And he sees
right
a great
off,
play right to start.
48
see the word
points
quota.
just to start it off.
He's not wasting any time. He might know that Jem is a fast player, so he might want to make
Now
sure he
look
saves
at the
enough
two
time.
letters he's keeping, Jackson. What will happen if he draws another N?
If he draws another N, he's going to have a brilliant extension of non-quota. And that'll score over 50 points, and we'll see if he's aware of it. It's easy to see quota and not think about front extensions, but again, you cannot underestimate either of these players.
Now we got a little bit of clunk with an S, two O's on Jem's rack here. Let's see what he comes up with. He's been playing extremely quickly, extremely sharp. We'll see what happens.
he told me he thinks he plays a little bit better when he's at the featured table. I guess maybe the adrenaline gets going for him and he takes it up a notch, or maybe it's that every play you make is it's analyzed and scrutinized, and you got you two guys watching it, telling us what he's doing. But
I like what I see right now.
Yeah, Vodou, getting rid of the V and the D.
He can score maybe a bit more, but I think Vodou, no, it probably scores just as much as he can score. And the BYS combination, though it looks a bit awkward, will allow him to continue to balance his rack. All right, he's played Yob.
YOB.
Keeping VODS.
makes a couple of two-letter words in the process. We see conifer.
Great find from Leo.
He doesn't going to waste any time, and Jem made it a little easier for him, not knowing, by putting a B under the A, so now the C can hook onto the top.
So that's already over 100 points in 2 turns for Leo. Let's see. Wow, we see a blank on Jem's rack, so it looks like they're not just trading blows here. This is going to be a really exciting matchup, because now Jem has the S and the blank to hook onto conifer later. He can choose to do it now. I would presume he's going to wait and play something like void.
And he also has the front hook S for the cab, which means which gets him to scab, which is a great bingo lane that can go across to the left side of the board.
So if he's not going to bingo, why play the S at this point?
Exactly. Right? He knows that on this board, saving the S in the blank, he's extremely likely to get a bingo in the future.
And he's recounting, as you can see, because...
You know what? He's saying, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure we have... And there's nothing... Better to do it now than 4 turns down the road, because then it becomes really a headache to figure out where you're at.
And once again, like non-quota could happen. He has the N and the O. It's very possible if he plays void or something, at some point he might draw the extension, and I think Jem will know the extension, if anybody.
I bet he does. He's as we mentioned, his word knowledge is just exceptional.
And we also see he plays void, which sets up 2 front hooks.
Yep.
The A and the O both go there for avoid and ovoid, and I expect Leo will see that, and he has one of them on his rack. He has quite a few options of words to play there, hooking his A onto avoids.
Just getting started, Leo with a 119-37 lead. Leo was able to open with the Q on the bonus space and then follow that up with conifer. Not an easy word to find, not an easy bingo to find.
Let's see if Leo allots to try and block a little bit. He could play wafter to the R in conifer, and that will get rid of a lot of the troublesome words that would come down hooking conifers. That would be a defensive play, and as he's ahead by more than a bingo right now, that would be a very good thing to do at this point.
And it looks like few may come down, and that goes right underneath the ER of conifer.
That looks even
which
better.
Totally takes out the conifer's hook, which is definitely something he wants. Not only does he not have an S, but there's a decent chance that Jem has an S on his
Very
rack.
good play.
Very good play of few.
You
Grabs
might,
a lot of points in the process, too.
you might not want to put a letter on that middle right-hand side, because down the line, maybe something will come down. Oh, as we can see.
And he's
Both
got both
blanks.
blanks. And that's always good news, bad news, because when you get both, you feel like, well, if I just got one at a time.
Beautiful.
And look at this,
Oh, yeah,
weekends.
and he's
Weekends.
switching. Oh, this is
And he cleverly
beautiful.
switches the E to hit the bonus space and uses both blanks as E's as well. And is he going to challenge it? I think they may need the score sheet so they can circle
Right.
Great
both
find.
blanks.
We were
And-
talking,
and a quick find, too.
we were talking earlier about how difficult it is when you have two blanks because you have to go through all of these different combinations. And it seems like Jem found weekends within just a few seconds.
And you might say, well, maybe you shouldn't have played few, put that W there, as I was starting to say, but it's very unlikely you'll get a word that starts with a W, uses all of your tiles. It's just interesting that it did happen in this particular
Well, when you
case.
both blanks certainly makes it a little bit easier. So Jem's bingo gets him back close to Leo. Leo quickly plays Pap, gets rid of his duplicate P's and uses that A on the top. Moving over to Jem, he drew the X, always a good thing to find.
So Jem is still trailing by 44 points now after Pap, even though we just got a huge bingo. And he has the U, which can actually play from the Q really nicely with something like Quant or Quanta.
Oh, he sees Monteau if there were to be an M. That is incredible. You have two A's, a U, and an X, and you're still looking for that 7 or 8 letter word. What a mind on this guy. He has the U.
He's at 21 minutes. I think he played his last game in the 4 minutes that he's taken so
Yeah,
far.
this
so,
is a slow game.
yeah.
He has the U for the Q, so he could play something like Quant or Quanta. He's probably looking to get rid of that X, though. It's not. X isn't a great tile, but okay.
It's going to be Quant.
decides
He's
play
going to hang on
Quant.
to the E.
And that's an aggressive play because he's setting up an A hook because Quant takes an A in the back for Quanta, and he may think that maybe Leo doesn't know it, or maybe he's thinking that he has the A, so he can use the A hook on Quant next turn. Either way, it's a very smart play to play Quant.
Leo picked
Oh,
up an
wow.
S.
Oh, wow.
Digitize? That doesn't play with the S, does it?
Almost.
Digest.
He has gotten the N, though. The N in Quant will give him dingiest.
Dingiest.
He may be thinking about indigest.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, okay, that's plausible.
If he does that, I hope he
He's
doesn't
very
do
close
that.
to seeing dingiest.
Well, when you got IEST, oftentimes that you, maybe to your detriment, you get
Oh,
kind
he's
of
playing
fixated with it.
indigest.
He's going to
Ooh,
play
looks like he's playing
indigest.
Digest.
Which is only acceptable in the International Dictionary.
So it's not good here. Jem, who is a word expert, is going to take a look at it now. He may know that there is a dictionary that it's good in, but maybe not this
Oh, look at
and
that!
it looks
He
like he
changes
found it.
it.
Very
Amazing.
smart.
one. Now, he can, look, it's
And it
amazing.
may be because of Jem's expression. You could see Jem was kind of glaring
Jem's
at it.
like,
And then maybe that's what
He
inspired
can
him.
take as much time as he wants until he hits his clock.
Jem's smiling
And
because
Jem's
he knows
smiling because he says,
maybe
"You
he could've
guys, you
done
got away with
something."
it.
Yeah.
If you had left it there, you would have been in trouble." So
Amazing.
Leo, with yet
Amazing
another
clutch
bingo,
play.
we're 3 bingos in already.
And it looks like Jem has found his A hook to Quant. He has Varix lined up
That's
for
a
over
lot
60
of
points, which is
points.
almost a bingo score, and he's going to play it. Looks like his aggressive play of Quant is really working
Certainly
out well
paid
for
off,
him.
yeah.
And he almost ties up the game again, or just
So-
back and forth.
So
It's incredible.
Leo plays a bingo. Jem follows it up with a 5-letter word, but it scores enough to really almost offset the bingo, and we still got a very close game.
Let's see what Leo does. He has 2 H's, he has an M. Those are really great scoring tiles, but he does have that U. He's going to want to get rid of that. Let's look at the board and look at his options here.
And next to that K, he does have the O to make that new word OK. And I think a lot of players still miss OK because we've played many years now, and Leo has played in these tournaments for over 4 years now, I think. And it's easy to miss OK when you've spent so many games not seeing that word come up. So we'll see if he sees his word of home, which will play there for over 40 points, making okay.
Yeah, even just HOM would be a reasonable decision as well to keep that E.
The key is to get the H on the triple, because that's going to get you 24 points, but just that one letter.
Man, the level of play is staggering so far. This is quite the game going on right now. I hope you're all joining us, watching the championship match of the high school division at the North American School Scrabble Championship here in Philadelphia. So let's see, he sees HEH. Where could that go?
It does play off of the S in dingiest.
That's
He may
what he's
want to
going to
keep
do.
one of his H's for next turn, but
He's
he
not going to
sees
do it. So he's going to play off both H's. That H, it's the double letter, not quite as good as the single letter.
Look at these
Jade with a
letters.
Z, well, these Braves he's got,
Those
Zebra
are
of
beautiful
course,
letters.
and he doesn't take any time. Quickly plays Brazed for a few reasons, not the least of which, look what's on his rack, ER. Can get a lot better than that with 2 letters.
And this puts Jem down by 1 point. The score is now 270 for Leo McKenna and
the game is already half
269
over.
for Jem Birch. They are scoring a
269,
ton of
246.
points.
The game is already half over, and they each have 20 minutes left on their clocks, just saving all their time.
We haven't seen a 500-point game on our table yet. Maybe it'll happen.
Not sure about that, but anything can happen at this stage. We still see the NO on Leo's rack. I really, really hope one of them sees non-quota at some point, because that's
Well, they're running out of
huge
ends, aren't they?
play.
I mean,
They
there's
are.
a few of them left, but
There are 2 left.
well, including the one on his rack.
In the bag, there are
There's
2.
two,
Unseen to Leo, there are 2 N's. If he notices the possibility, it's definitely smart to keep his N in his O.
Like we saw, this is quite the setback to miss OK last turn for Leo. Home there would have blocked the play that Jem made, Brazed. He still would have been able to score a lot of points, but as we can see now, his rack is struggling a bit more than it could have been.
And he still has the OK possibility. There's still time for him to see it. Although he seems to be considering Minuto, which is a plausible sounding phony. It's
We've
really-
seen, that's what we've seen from Leo. He's almost played phony words. He's taken him back. He's
It's
made
true.
the right play. So he really leaves us at the edge of our seats. We're looking at something like Tiz for 24. That's not a great option.
I don't know if Tiz has made it into our new
Oh, yeah, we'll
to
have
the
to check.
dictionary.
It has. Tix and Tiz are in there. But yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, it's a really close game, so he doesn't need to score all that much. I think blocking that triple lane at the bottom would be a good idea. But look, it looks like he's thinking about it. He's really not sure.
And there are many easy plays that can go on that triple word score. And
Alright,
he looks like
he's
he's
like,
going to go for
I guess
Minuto.
I'll just try it.
Okay, so
Uh-oh.
Minuto,
We'll
It's
see
a
what
great
happens.
expression of
He's
of
hit his clock.
uncertainty.
Let's see.
and then he's saying
Jem
hold.
is like,
Oh,
he's
Jem's
like,
like, hold everything.
huge hold.
He's saying, now look, let's now look at this. What if I take it?
What an
if I
expressive
allow it?
person. He saw
He's
his
gonna
jaw
allow
And
it.
he's
drop.
accepting it.
He's gonna
Very
allow
nice
it.
decision by Leo. It's
So-
really hard to challenge a 6-letter word.
Minuto. It could be just a standalone 6. It could
Well,
just
but he's
mean
not going to mess around.
in a minute.
He knows what he's got. A couple of R's, couple of E's, and an L, O, and an S.
What a nice phony then. Wow. What
Well,
chutzpah on this
Jackson,
one.
you mentioned when Conifer was played that it opened up that scab.
I know, and that
line,
scab
and
is
it's
still there.
Still
it's not
there,
going
and he's
anywhere.
got the S.
Right,
So
he'll
Rez,
play Rez,
definitely the
R-E-Z.
right play
Play.
here. Very quickly played, and he knows he has that S. He can hook it onto cab. He doesn't need to worry about whether Minuto is a word or not. But there's Leo with the other S. This is
Almost has
incredible.
mullets, but not quite.
This is incredible. Both of the remaining S's are on each of the players' racks. And there are no blanks left, so that scab, that S hook on cab is now the most important spot on the board for the rest of the game until someone hits it. And both are very, very close to getting a bingo down. So it looks he's considering mutt. Let's see, is there anywhere that fits? Don't really see. He could play next to Rez, he could play metal That scores a decent amount of points, keeps the game a little bit more into Leo's favor. Let's see what he's doing.
And you see his medal.
what he sees.
Fantastic
Oh, he
find.
saw it. METAL.
Amazing
Grabs
finds.
some
Just in
extra points
such little
along the way.
time.
And he keeps his S, which is very important. The S is one of the best tiles. It's definitely the best tile in the game at this point, with both blanks already played.
And neither of them wants to cut anything off because they've got an S.
Yeah, no, it's just gonna stay there until one of them gets a play. Look what he's doing.
Oh,
He just
beautiful.
plays Quantal Ella. This is incredible. Just they seem to like have such a knack for finding everything. All of the little like spots on the board, it just comes to them instantly. These kids are amazing.
And even though we kept DERRS, which does keep a few extra consonants, the bag is full of vowels. There are quite a few vowels left, so it's very likely that DERRS will be bailed out into a really nice bingo
Those
rack
are
next turn.
those are the letters that remained on Jem's rack.
Exactly.
Leo, on
Although-
the other hand, grabbed a few of those vowels. And the deadly W. We've seen that more than once in this tournament, that the W just slows everything down.
Oh yeah.
It does. It can be a great scoring tile, but
Yeah.
sometimes if you're trying to get a bingo, it's a really tough tile to have.
There's so many letters go, everything with the U will go either, every vowel but the U will go either before or after it.
Yes.
Except the I won't do it for you either.
It looks like looks like Jem's pointing to the board on Leo's time. I'm sure Leo's unfazed. Look at him. He's just in deep thought, trying to figure out how he can get rid of his W and his U. He might even just exchange them.
It looks like he's thinking about WUD as well to score 9 points. But again, with that new addition of EW in the dictionary, that opens up a really nice place for Jem to play on the triple. So it's a pretty tough decision for Leo.
And Leo has just a 4-point lead.
Once again, back and forth in this final game.
Yep.
Very, very close. This is, I feel like this is going to go down to the wire. Just like all of these games, it's just been so competitive throughout all divisions. We're really, really lucky to have witnessed this, and hopefully you guys are still with us. This is the finals of the high school division, the North American School Scrabble Championship. We have Jem and Leo. They're fighting. 4-point game. They both have an S. Who is going to strike first?
The winner gets $2,000 and gets crowned the North American High School Champion.
Jem is a previous winner in the championship division.
This is
WAU.
WAU.
And he immediately stops it. Immediately. You know what? I'm going to give you my noodle, but you can't get away with this one. That's what he must have been thinking. Yeah.
Stopped.
And that could be, just losing the turn might be just
Leo's
deadly.
shaking his head.
Now,
he knows.
they're bringing
Pulling out a
the
laptop.
Bringing out the computer.
Yeah,
get
we're
to
going to
see
actually
it
get, now
live.
you get an idea. So there's 2 words. Now he's going to challenge both of them.
And we get to see the
PA,
reactions.
and they're not acceptable. Now, you don't know which one, maybe both, you don't know which ones aren't acceptable. In this case, PA was good, but WAU was not.
Oh,
and look at
here
that.
it is.
It's not going to
Bingo
mess
This
around.
might be it. This
And that's-
might be it. Droners coming
Droners,
down.
yep. And so that's going to give him a bingo. What a turn of events for Leo.
Jem is just elated at this point. I'm sure he can just smell victory.
He was 100% certain that wasn't a word, because if he had any doubt, he wouldn't have
Exactly.
challenged it, because he's sitting on a bingo. You don't want to mess around. Give him a few points. Take them for yourself.
Man, oh man.
But you can see he challenged within about 1 second
Yeah.
or less.
that must
This
be
is a
so
huge swing.
intimidating for Leo. But he's still focused. There was an extra clipboard on the table.
Yeah,
They've
give me
just
that.
removed it.
Give me that.
And he still has some good options to getting back in this game. He does have WAP,
The clocks have
W-A-P.
the clocks have been stopped for some reason.
Yeah.
There may be a scoring discrepancy that they just want to make sure they've got.
They're being extra careful.
Yeah. So at some point they'll put the game back in action. That is our 1, 2, 3rd, just our third bingo, 4th bingo.
4th bingo,
Third
just
bingo.
like a third.
Third bingo, yeah, our third, no, 4th.
fourth.
There's 4, we'll get it right. There's droners, there's conifer, there's weekends, there's
You
dingy.
guys okay over there?
There's 4 bingos on the board.
All right.
Still room for a 4th?
It looks like
A fifth.
it looks like Leo's
Looks like he's considering WUD.
clock should be started. Okay, he's playing WUD. But Jackson mentioned if he played WAP to the P in PAP, that would be beautiful setup of the last remaining S.
Well, the good letters have ended for Jem. IGGLY, not so bad, but the C, they don't really
I think
help
for
him.
Jem, as long as he has plays that score, he is not too worried. He's
Well, he's
ahead
got
by
a
70 points.
Yeah, by just right around there, and you still got to play it out. There's still time
There's still
and room and all
8 tiles in the bag.
Yeah.
And going back to the WUD play, there's always this constant tug of war between trying to make your rack as groomed as possible for getting a 7-letter word, and also trying to make the board as amenable as possible to fitting a 7-letter word. You have to have it both ways. You have to have good bingo tiles and also a board where 7-letter words will actually fit. So that will probably be Leo's challenge for the rest of the game, trying to make sure there actually is a space on the board for getting a 7-letter word down. And I'm sure
Any big tiles available? The J is still.
the J is out, and besides the J, it's a bunch of 1-point tiles
Right.
and vowels.
So he still doesn't necessarily have to bingo, but it's getting to be close.
On the contrary, I really think with this 60-point lead, there is nowhere for the J to even score remotely close to that amount. I'm pretty sure as long as Jem keeps his rack balanced, Leo's going to need a big one to win this game. He's looking at Glary right now. He's keeping his eye if he plays Glary. He could play Glary with AI, but that
That's
would run into problems if he draws consonants. Okay, so he's switching to Clary,
Clary.
which scores a couple more points, keeps the double G, but it does not allow Leo any way to open the top of the board on that side, because the C, as we've mentioned prior to this moment, does not take a single letter on either side of it to form a 2-letter word.
Well, Leo's got one of those common racks that we talk about,
Tony's.
but unfortunately, at this point in the game, there's not too much you can do with it.
Although there is one
Yes,
bingo
one
available,
bingo.
but it requires some studying because it's not a common word. It's through the C.
It's wow.
Actions,
Aconites.
aconites.
And that actually continues into tachonites if you have another T. So if Leo indeed spots this, which might be his only chance at this point, the game is almost over already. There's 4 tiles in the bag. There are no T's left for tachonites. He needs to see aconites here, and just to give himself a fighting chance, I think. Or maybe playing 2 tiles off and hoping for a bingo next turn would be a better shot. But he is
Well, he'll have
down.
good letters. If he just plays almost any 2 letters, he's going to have decent letters to go with, but time is running out, and the board is not as friendly as he needs it to be.
He sees it.
He sees aconites.
He sees
And it's
it.
a very smart move that he's thinking. He's not just playing it immediately because he knows he's down by 87 points and aconites only scores 62. So he wants to make sure that if he gets a bingo, it's actually going to win.
And I mean, if you're looking at the tiles that are left, they are not pretty. There's 3 I's, 2 G's, 2 A's, 2 E's, a J, and an L. And so what Leo would hope for if he does play the bingo is just to draw the best of those tiles and threaten all sorts of things. And maybe he can eke out a win. It's going to be really tough regardless for Leo. Let's see what goes down.
And this is where he might be considering other plays to that P just from before, the first P in PAP, something like nip, something that sets up his S. He has the last S in the bag. You can tell he's thinking very hard about this move because he knows it's probably the most important move of the game.
Yeah, he looks exhausted.
I love the expressions on his players.
He doesn't look like someone who thinks he's going to win, but
Well, even if he
that's
plays
what
it,
happens.
he's going to have to.
You lose a
He's going
turn.
to have to get some good stuff as well. And is that what he's? No, he's going to play Ion.
He's emptying the
So-
bag. Oh, no,
he's not leaving one in the bag.
Right, so he's leaving one. He's got some decent letters to stick around afterwards in ATES. Jem quickly, of course,
And that's it.
is going to play
Jill.
Jill
Should be
JIL,
enough.
and
that should be enough.
And that takes the C and makes
Doesn't
it
even
much
matter
more
what other
difficult
letters
to work
he
with.
has. That's got to be the right play. And
So
that should do
it
it.
gets some points, and he makes it much more difficult to work off that C.
Oh, and he
and
drew a-
Leo with a draw that certainly didn't help him. He had 1A and drew 2 more.
Man, What a rough game. Just because there's only a few spellings of the Hebrew letter Vav, V-A-U, V-A-V, W-A-W, as we saw in 2 games ago. Those are the only spellings of that letter. Why wouldn't W-A-U be a word? Who knows?
And it shows how quickly things can change. This game was just back and forth, and then one slight error, and then everything changes from there after Droners comes down.
I don't know what Leo's going to do here, but he's either just going to try to end it as quickly as possible, or he's just going to agonize for the rest of the game. There's really nothing to be done here at this point.
We're going to have an 800-plus game here for our finals.
Very apt. These kids are amazing. I was expecting good level of play. I was blown away. He has 5 vowels. What do you do with 5 vowels? Nobody knows. You could play a sigh with the C in Clary. I mean, nothing wins at this point. And he's probably just remembering his play of WAU and he's just kicking himself.
And both players have demonstrated that they can find some really, really clever plays, especially with Leo with playing metal and finding all of these nice opportunities to score.
So he played sat, made a voids, and effed as well. Jem is going to go out with Aegir and pick up not only the points for that, but an additional 8 points. And that makes Jem Birch our 2019 High School Scrabble Champion. Will's going to get set up with these guys, talk about the game, see what was going on in their head. In the meantime, congratulations to Jem. A few years ago, he was crowned the championship division level champion, and now he has the high school championship to put under his belt. A great game, but
Great game.
That's what we expected among these two.
We were very fortunate. We got 2 amazing high-level championship games from the championship division and now the high school division. Not that we would expect anything less after an entire tournament of some amazing finds.
Jem lost 2 games in the main part of the tournament. Leo actually lost only 1. He had 2 ties along the way. And it shows you how, I mean, you saw what great players these are, and they were still defeated a few times. And that's because the high school division, this year in particular, was just amazing. The level of play.
Very bright future ahead of Scrabble, if I can say so myself.
The national championships are coming up in July in Reno. I'm not sure if these guys are going to be there. They're from Los Angeles, not so far. It's easier to get to Reno from Los Angeles than it is to get from Toronto.
It is.
How are you getting there? What is the route from Toronto to Reno?
Something high in the air. That's as far as I've gotten.
But you got to stop at least, what, 1 or 2 times? Or?
Yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah,
But I
it's
hope
tough.
to see these kids there. I'm sure they can take down any division they play.
Based on their rankings, certainly Jem would probably be in Division 2, and I think Leo division maybe as high as Division 2, probably Division 3, and that's only because he's just a little newer to the game in terms of a NASPA-rated event.
Exactly.
So, but you're going to hear from these guys. These guys are going to be sitting in these seats at some point talking about what it was like way back when they were school Scrabble champions. Hopefully, they'll continue to play. They've both got some eligibility left in the high school division, and it'll continue on from year to year, getting better and better. We just added the high school division, I think, 3 years ago, and it's been an amazing addition to the competition. Anything overall you've seen in terms of anything unusual, anything different throughout the tournament that you weren't expecting?
Well, there was the one instance we were talking about, the 2 ties that Leo had. In adult tournaments, I guess, in North America, you can recount a game as many times as you would like. And we were very surprised to know that there were no recounts allowed in this specific tournament, but it makes perfect sense given the tenor of the event, given how things have to just roll, and given that you should be counting every play. If you're playing at such a high level as these high school kids are, you really should be very good at counting, and you should count your opponent's plays, count your own plays. So what ended up happening is Leo got a tie. He actually had lost that game by 1 point, but that tie really propelled him into the finals. And as we saw, he unfortunately didn't manage to win, but what a great performance overall.
We're always fighting the clock, and that's probably the reason for no recounts. Speaking of the clock, in just a moment we're going to go outside and talk to Will. He'll be interviewing our 2 finalists from that high school match, and then I guess about 10-15 minutes following that we'll have our award ceremony. We hope you're part of it. That doesn't look. Yeah, that doesn't look.
It's not staged.
That looks real spontaneous. Okay. Well, they're gonna smile for the camera a little bit more. We'll talk to them for a bit, and then we will have our award ceremony, where we will not only award our high school champion and our champion division champion. There's the challenger division, which are our newer players. They're going to win some awards. There's also awards for highest play, highest score. I believe there's a sportsmanship award as well, which is obviously an important one at this level. So all kinds of hardware and good stuff coming ahead. So hopefully you'll stick around and give these champions the praise they deserve. Looks like we're not going to do awards. No, well, we are going to do awards. You're just not going to see them. So we're not going to be, we're again fighting the clock. People got planes to catch. We're right next to the Philadelphia airport, so we're going to do it rather quickly, meaning you're not going to get a chance to join us at the awards ceremony. But be sure and check out Hasbro Gaming Championships.com. We'll put the winners there for you. You'll see you've been following the competition the whole way. So in just a moment, we'll be talking to our winners, and then we will wrap things up here from Philadelphia.
I think before we get to Will, I think we can reiterate once more, I think this championship of all has demonstrated the highest caliber of Scrabble play we've ever seen out of North American School Scrabble Championship. I think all of us in the commentary team were extremely impressed with the games that we were able to stream live, not only in the finals, but throughout the 8 and 9 rounds before.
It wasn't quite so difficult when you won it, was it, Jackson?
That's what I'm trying to say. It's more of an accomplishment now.
Yeah, well, Jackson's gone on to, we talked about it. Jackson is now, as the field lines up at this point in the adult championship, you are the top-ranked player.
I know. And now over to Will with some interviews.
All right, guys, thanks. Wow, what a game in a long series of excellent games that we've seen on the top board. I'm here with our 2 finalists, Jem Birch and Leo McKenna. Another awesome game. You guys played great. It was a treat to watch. You know, what more can I say than the level of play has been shockingly high throughout across all divisions. So, yeah, I mean, let's just get into the game. Well, actually, before we get into the game, we heard on the grapevine that you guys are actually really good friends away from, you know, the board. So what is it like to play in such a, you know, pressurized game against a really good friend of yours? Does it make it a little bit easier to be in that situation, or is it harder knowing that win or lose, it's going to be, you know, your friend is, you know, you're denying your friend? Is it harder, or maybe a little bit of both, would you say?
I'd say it's both, because it's less competitive, because it feels more like a friendly, like we'd play at either of our.
Yeah, you guys play a lot, like just casually, right? Just to practice.
But it's certainly harder because, like, you don't want your friend to lose, but you don't want to lose either. So it's like, it's bittersweet in a way.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, that's having been in similar situations. There's no way around it. Scrabble is an individual sport, so sometimes your success comes at the expense of others. But there's no doubt that you guys have absolutely both acquitted yourself amazingly on board 1. It's been such a pleasure to watch you guys play. So getting to the actual game, it was, I mean, quota comes down in like a 1/10 of a second. The crazy thing, I wondered if either of you guys were thinking about this. Both of you, neither of you actually missed this play, nor did you really make any plays that we would have changed in the early going. But were either of you thinking about the extension non-quota, which is a valid word? Were you thinking about that at all? Because the crazy thing about quota was that it left ON, which gave you a huge chance of drawing another N. Yeah, that didn't cross your mind? I mean, that's a really improbable word, right?
I saw quota and I was like, without thinking, just put it down.
Quota is absolutely the best play. We were wondering because it's even more the best play when you consider that non-quota was an incredibly likely possibility. Sure, and also there was, I don't remember the play. I think it was void, where you left something like NS, something like that, where again void was absolutely the correct play, but there were inferior plays you could have made gunning for that N for the huge extension. But again, you guys you handled that perfectly, even if you had seen the extension. So from our perspective, indigest turning into dingiest was really nail biting, especially for those of us. I wanted to ask you, Leo. I recognized indigest because it's valid in the International Dictionary. So I wondered if maybe, do you think you've seen it in that context, and then you realize, oh wait, I've got a word I'm more sure of even than that?
Basically, the reason I switched from indigest to dingiest was because I put down the letters and then looked at Jem's face.
We saw that too. We saw maybe there was maybe that. But it all worked out because obviously, you just took an extra second to see the word. I mean, indigestion, totally normal word. Yeah, indigestible. It seems like a normal word, and in fact, it is in the International Dictionary, just not the one we play with now. Now this one for Jem, we were really impressed. You had the X when you played Quant. Obviously, there must have been a little bit of a give and take in your mind because clearly you knew Quanta. You played it later. You were thinking, should I play Quant now? Should I play Quanta? Talk us through that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I figured Quant was the best first play because it sets up the really nice hook, and also adding the A there sets up a scoring opportunity on the side of Quanta. And then I just like the leave of AXE more than XE kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, we totally agreed with your choice to leave the A off, and we were just wondering what kind of went into that. So that was really good. Obviously, watching the game, we were just talking before we went live about Minuto, which is such a great. I mean, first of all, there are a lot of 6-letter words that kind of look like that don't pluralize. It could have been, for all we know, some kind of musical adjective meaning quietly or something, or there's manito and other words like that. So so Leo, when you played it, were you kind of thinking, it looks good, or did you really feel confident in the word?
I thought it looked good, and then after I played it and Jeb didn't challenge, he was like, you knew that was a phony, right? And I was like, yeah. So I played it because it's a really hard word to challenge, and it was, I think, my best play, so that's why.
That's amazing. I mean, that is a really impressive move, especially against somebody like Jem, who's proven that he's really solid on words. But you know what? I also feel pretty good about the dictionary, and I would not have instantly challenged that move. I would have had to think real hard. It's a really, really difficult challenge. So that was an impressive move. Of course, then was the WAU, which was kind of the pivotal point. So what are you going to do? I mean, sometimes, that would have by far been the best play had it been valid. So I'm sure it's kind of like a wishful thinking type thing. Also for Jem, you had Lorders set up on your rack when you played Quantal, which was a beautiful play. Any thought to Lorders being good, and then you decided no at the last second, or?
Well, I mean, I was debating about it. I thought maybe I'd seen it somewhere, but I have a tendency to not really trust myself on bingos. I missed asperity and sobriety in my first game because I was not certain about asperity. I didn't see sobriety, but
well, I think you can be forgiven, given that it all has worked out very well.
I got the N, so it's okay.
Well, okay, that was a wonderful game to watch. One in a long line of great, great performances. Congratulations, Jem, on being the high school champion, and to you, Leo, on an awesome performance. Really impressive to watch both of you guys. And I think that's going to be it for this interview, but stay tuned, and we're going to have the awards ceremony, and you're going to see some of these guys collecting some paychecks. So with that, I will turn it back over to the booth.
Right, thank you, Will, and thank you all for joining us here at the 2019 North American School Scrabble Championships. That is going to wrap it up. Thank you to Jackson. Thank you to Josh. Thank you to Will outside. Thank you to our technical team, all the tournament staff, but most of all, thank you to you for joining us for the last 2 days. We are going to give away the awards, but unfortunately, you're not going to get a chance to see
We're not
those.
going to give away the giving
That's
away
right.
of the awards.
But we do know our champions from the high school division, Jem Birch, and from the championship division, once again, the Rack Masters for the second straight year. It's been a great year, and we will see you right around this time next year at the North American School Scrabble Championships. Bye-bye.